Billionaire George Soros has ties to more than 50 partners of the Women's March on Washington. In the pre-dawn darkness of today's presidential inauguration, obviously this was posted a couple days ago, I faced a choice as a lifelong liberal feminist, and obviously I am not a feminist. I am not reading this to you in the first person. I am reading this from a reporter whose name is Asra Namani, and this is by New York Times Live, and of course New York Times is the main page. Let's keep reading. As a lifelong liberal feminist who voted for Donald Trump for president, lace up my pink Nike sneakers to step forward and take the D.C. Metro into the nation's capital for the inauguration of America's new president, or wait and go tomorrow to the after party dubbed the Women's March on Washington. The Guardian has touted the Women's March on Washington as a spontaneous action for women's rights, the likes of which you saw Madonna is now going to be investigated by the Secret Service. And of course, what's the lady's name? Judd or Dud something, I don't know what her name is, and she's parading around and complaining about her tampons, and I mean, this is just, it's ridiculous. Huge spontaneous groundswell behind the march. On its website, organizers of the march are promoting their work as a grassroots effort with independent organizers. Even my local yoga studio, Beloved Yoga, is renting a bus, and if you're a Christian, you better not be doing yoga, is renting a bus and offering seats for $35. The march's manifesto says magnificently, "The rise of the woman equals the rise of the nation." It's an idea that I, a liberal feminist, not me, but the lady who wrote this article, would embrace. But I know, and most of America knows, that the organizers of the march haven't put into their manifesto. The march really isn't a woman's march. It's a march for women who are anti-Trump. As someone who voted for Trump, I don't feel welcome, nor do many other women who reject the liberal identity politics that is the core underpinnings of the march, so far making white women feel uncomfortable, nixing women who oppose abortion, and hijacking the agenda. To understand the march better, I stayed up through the nights this week studying the funding, politics, and talking points of some 403 groups that are partners of the march. Is this a nonpartisan women's march? Roy Speckhart, executive director of the American Humanist Association, a march partner, told me his organization was nonpartisan, but has many concerns about the incoming Trump administration that include what we see as a misogynist approach to women. Nick Fish, a national program director of the American Atheists, another march partner, told me this is not a partisan event. Dennis Willey, pastor of Covenant Baptist United Church of Christ, another march partner, returned my call and said, this is not a partisan march. Really? UnitedWomen.org, another partner, features videos with the hashtags I'm with her, Dems in Philly, and thanks Obama. Following the money, I poured through documents of billionaire George Soros and his Open Society philanthropy because I wondered, what is the link between one of Hillary Clinton's largest donors and the Women's March? I found out plenty. By my draft research, which I'm opening up for crowdsourcing on Google Docs, Soros has funded or has close relationships with at least 56 of the march's partners, including key partners, Planned Parenthood, which opposes Trump's anti-abortion policy, and the National Resource Defense Council, which opposes Trump's environmental policies. The other Soros ties with Women's March organizations include the partisan MoveOn.org, which was fiercely pro-Clinton, the National Action Network, which has a former executive director lauded by Obama's senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, as a leader of tomorrow, as a march co-chair and another official as the head of logistics. Other Soros grantees who are partners in the march are the American Civil Liberties Union, Center for Constitutional Rights, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Watch. March organizers and the organizations identified here haven't yet returned queries for comment. On the issues I care about as a Muslim, the Women's March, I am not a Muslim. Obviously, this is the her from her perspective. on the issues she cares about as a Muslim, the Women's March, unfortunately, has taken a stand on the side of partisan politics that has obfuscated the issues of Islamic extremism over the 8 years of the Obama administration. Women's March partners include the Council on American-Islamic Relations, which has not only deflected on issues of Islamic extremism post 9/11, but opposes Muslim reforms that would allow women to be prayer leaders and pray in the front of mosques, without wearing headscarves as symbols of chastity. Partners also include the Southern Poverty Law Center, which wrongly designated Majid Nawaz a Muslim reformer and anti-Muslim extremist in a bias report released before the election. The SPLC confirmed to me that the Soros-funded is anti-Muslim extremists. Report targeting Nawaz. Ironically, Kair also opposes abortions, but its leader still has a key speaking role. Why am I reading this to you? This is a Christian truther, right? Why am I reading this report that was written by a Muslim? First of all, because there's a problem here. Soros has funded 56 partners. She did the research. 56 partners of this march. And we see the product. We have witnessed the atrocities of the product of George Soros. Do you want to know who was funding Disrupt J20? Go to our website, christiantruther.com. You'll find all the sources there. We showed up on WND just the other day with that report. There is a war going on right now, and a lot of people are failing to see this. They're missing it. They're not getting it. A big part in this is, of course, the globalism versus nationalism agenda. But there's an even deeper agenda at play here. The multipolar world order, which is what we're about to see. Many other nations are going to return to this protectionist ideology. And of course, that's going to lead to war because national interests are going to lead to conflict. That's just what happens. And then when that does happen, guess what? This world order, or the multipolar world order, will collapse. And it will bring about the new world order. They're funding the opposition because, as the Bible states, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be a great amount of discord between people. What are we seeing in America right now? What are we seeing in America right now? The Bible speaks true. That's all the information I've got for you right now. I want to thank you all for watching and listening. God bless and carry on.